All right, what's up, guys? I have to say I'm a little sad we're not doing this one in person. It was great to meet in person. How you guys doing today?
Dude, feeling fantastic. Glad to be back home though. San Francisco was a long week last week.
Yeah, but I'm feeling the remote blues a little bit. It was nice hanging out IRL for a change.
Yeah, it was fun
for me. 2 days.
I'm curious your guys' big takeaways. Definitely want to chat just maybe some quick recap of the Meta Summit. Obviously, we did the live pod, which was a lot of fun. Operators did the live pod. Both of them are out. Bonus episode. They had Yoni on, which was really cool. So definitely want to chat some takeaways. Maybe we'll give it a full episode if we want to debrief. But my main ones, Connor McDonald's taller than I expected. Also cooler hair. You don't get like the full picture of it from just like, Riverside, but cooler hair. And Connor Rowland is more jacked than I expected.
Oh, dude, yeah. Connor Rowland, big in person.
Yeah.
He is mass.
And I was asking, we were getting lunch one day. I was like, dude, like, what are you doing for lifting? He's like, I just do some yoga. I go on some hikes, do some juice cleanses.
Do some juice cleanses. That was the last
Dude, that was the talk of everybody. London, like Jason, everywhere was like just talking about your juice cleanses.
Dude, you guys got to get on the juice cleanse once or twice a year. Flush the system. Game changer. Mental clarity through the roof.
Also, my other takeaway, Sean is Sean. Same on Twitter, same in person, same real life.
Yeah. No, that's accurate. You know what? One of my takeaways, this is a bit different, but it was so refreshing being around fellow marketing and e-commerce dorks. Like, I was at Topgolf on Tuesday, and I went into a conversation with someone random, just met him. We're like having beers or whatever. We're talking about, does EAR from Meta take site-wide conversion rate into account? And if it does, and you're driving low quality traffic, should you be delaying your Meta pixel? This is something in order to like have an artificially high conversion rate for Meta for a higher EAR. This is something I've thought quite a bit about. I bet there's like, I don't know, maybe 100 people who have really thought about that on the planet, like not a lot. And like him and I both like went deep on it, and we both were like, yeah, we've thought about all these different things. He was like, we've been trying that, whatever. And it's just so funny to have those interactions in real life.
So nerdy. Connor, what are your main takeaways?
I actually have a bunch of opinions on that, but I don't know if that's for this pod.
It might be.
Connor R, how about you?
I mean, it was great. It was cool to meet a bunch of people I hadn't met before, see a bunch of people I had met online and hadn't met in person. And yeah, I think we are probably in order for a recap episode. There's a lot that went over, but the summary was they're just tripling down on AI, and I'd say that the majority of it is like back end improvements to their technology. I think there's a lot of front end stuff that they're developing too, like the generative AI creative stuff. I'm really excited about. We're actually going to meet with our reps next week and kind of put that into like, operationalize it a little bit and decide how we can actually use that. But yeah, I mean, it was like AI everything, front and back end. A lot of talk about them optimizing their algorithm for incremental orders versus I guess just orders in general, which is exciting to kind of see them align their technology with what we all care a lot about. So yeah, I mean, it sounds like Meta's listening to marketers and like
literally probably listening right now.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So it's cool to see like they're listening, they care. And it seems to be working. Like our Meta performance is as good as it's ever been. And like part of that is we're not spending as much there, but I do think part of that is likely based on some of the changes they're making to their technology.
Yeah, totally great. No, I think it would be good once the dust settles to do like a fuller recap. But excited to introduce our guest. We have a very special guest. But before we do, as always, want to thank our sponsors. We've got Motion, Aftercell, Prescient, Revo, and Rich Panel. Without you guys, the show would not be possible. But let's get into it. Episode 64.
Okay, I just sent my entire team an email about this training that Motion's putting on, and you guys are going to block your calendars for this. Every operator I talk to is thinking about how to build lean teams and become more efficient. And AI is an obvious part of this. We talk about it on the marketing operators all the time because it can automate time-consuming parts of the creative strategy process. And Motion, our sponsor, they're doing a live virtual event series with 5 sessions on how to adapt timeless advertising principles to the new era of AI-first ad production. This is their legendary virtual event series, Make Ads That Convert. Last year, over 11,000 DTC marketers registered for it, and it is going to be a banger. Listen to these topics and just an elite cast of the best experts. You'll hear from names like Alex Cooper, Jimmy Slagle, Jacob Possell, Dara Denny, Kelly Rocklin, Morella Crespi, and Barry Hott. A few of the topics that they're going to go over: using AI for deep customer research, advanced prompting techniques for ads that don't look AI generated, making sure your AI ads actually sell physical products, using AI actors and voice models for scalable UGC, building a lean AI augmented team of 2025. Here's one session that really caught my eye. It features Kelly Rocklin, and she is going deep into using AI to make scalable UGC with AI actors and voiceovers without it sounding cringe, how to spin up high volume messaging tests using AI agents, super interested in what she's learned here, expand on what already works without replacing the human spark that makes it work in the first place, how to test creative like a craftsperson, not a chaos agent, how to build internal creative testing systems for your AI creative, just to name a few. It's going to be really, really good. Highly recommend registering. If you want to check it out, go register for this. It's free and it's 5 total sessions. You can register at motionapp.com/make-ads-that-convert. That is motionapp.com/make-ads-that-convert.
We've got Dylan Ender from Heatmap. Is it heatmap.com? And formerly of what was your agency? Was it Split Testing?
Splittesting.com.
Awesome.
Great
So Dylan,
domains.
you probably need no introduction in the space, but give us a quick who you are, what you've done, why people should listen to you.
I don't know. I'm just a nerd that does ecom, just like think like the rest of us. But no, I built my first 2 ecom stores in college. Shout out New Yorkers, went to Hofstra, and sold one before I graduated, one a little bit after. Had an SEO media buying agency after school, had like Geico, Planet Fitness, paying 6-figure monthly contracts. So, and a lot of the big ones as well. Sold that one, and then had 4 different failed ventures where I lost pretty much all my money from my exits, and build it back up on starting the agency again. I'd always split tested stuff a lot, like shout out to Ezra Firestone and Zipify, like way back in the day.
Dude,
I was like, well,
Ezra on the pod one day.
Oh, I can connect you guys if you want. He's the absolute bomb.com. As honestly, more awesome when you get to talk to him. He's the best. He actually taught me what heat maps were in his old YouTube content when I was like 19. So he's got my forever gratitude. But yeah, started split testing headlines. I'm like, well, I got 2 shots instead of 1 for these like drop shipping days. Like, feel like I'll beat out a competitor if I just try 2 different hero images or 2 different headlines, which like still holds true to today. And brands that aren't doing that, like whatever. But so we built and sold splittesting.com, which was one of the largest CRO agencies in ecom. Did have Hexclad, we Shoot Classic, whole bunch of Claire's awesome brands that we had. And I already started building Heatmap because I was like, well, yeah, everything's on the site. Like, I see where people are clicking, but are those people buying or not? Because it's very misleading. And like, I've even made the hot call that clicks without revenue for ecom is like borderline unethical data and uber misleading. So I had to tie revenue to it. It took 9 months just to make it work, and now I can go on and on. But we got value to add, so that's just me.
Awesome, man. Well, that's cool. Appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know do you guys know who Ezra is?
Yeah. Familiar. He wasn't all that influential for me. I think I missed that.
Okay. I grew up like watching him. Like I learned so much ecom from his courses and from like digital marketer and stuff. So haven't met him in person, but he's the man.
Have you been to Blue Ribbon before?
I have not been, no.
Man, I guess this isn't Ezra like a sponsorship here, but so like before the Twitter gang found out about it, like which was maybe like 2 years ago, I've been going to Ezra's like Blue Ribbons. They happen twice a year in Smart Marketers like membership, and like hands down some of the most tactical, like the EARs, like, like those types of people, those conversations, like I've loved it forever. And then I saw a bunch of our Twitter friends come in. I'm like, dang it, like I love you guys, but man, this was like my getaway. So highly recommend, especially for meeting other brands. It's super rad.
I would say he's probably one of the people that popularized like post-purchase upsells the most. Zipify, I feel like that was pretty early, and he was really early in talking. And even like, he didn't call them like listicles. Like I actually feel like he like popularized a lot of stuff everybody's doing today.
Was that his most successful business, Zipify?
No, actually.
He had a
Boom
beauty
by
brand.
Cindy Joseph.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay.
All right, so Dylan, we got some questions for you, but yeah, I think he'd be a fun guest. Let me see actually where to start. Let's go general. We'll give you maybe some softballs, and then we can get a little bit harder. Connor McDonald had a few good questions. Like, we want to know just like, what are the core web analytics that you track and that you care about? Let's say you are in our seat, so you're running an e-com brand. Like, what do you look at? Or if you're auditing a friend's site, like, what are you going to look at? How often are you checking in? And then yeah, let's go with that.
Sweet. So I'll talk about a couple of things that I don't look at. We hate conversion rate. If you guys, for board meetings, I found like a lot of the companies, and especially CBG that have boards, like they're like, what's our conversion rate? How's our website doing? Your conversion rate has way more factors off website than on website that influence your conversion rate. So using like global conversion rate as a metric, you can look at like page by page conversion rate. That does give some insight, but global conversion rate is something that I specifically do not look at. I think AOV is highly underpowered. Like, it's such a big lever that you can move to, like, it doesn't just increase revenue, but also profit margin on shipping and everything else. So those are kind of the first two like high level metrics that I'm looking at. Need to know volume, because like, call it, the same metric if you're doing 50,000 a month versus, 5 million a month. They're different metrics, more top of funnel. I'm sure you guys know. I'm sure other people know. ROAS just goes down the more you spend. Unfortunate, but that's kind of the things that I like exclude, right? So those are the things I don't want to look at, and I recommend you guys don't look at either. So what I first do look at then is obviously we want to audit the front end site. It's not a plug to Heatmap, but I've been saying this for years, like almost like 8 to 10 years now. All I need to optimize a website is a heat map, some screen recordings, and customer feedback surveys. If I have those three, the most underutilized thing in all of CRO is customer feedback surveys. So when I ran my agency, in my onboarding was, we're not even going to start charging you if you don't run a customer feedback survey. We'll give it to you to go send to your emails, but like not post-purchase. They're very different. So that's the first thing that I actually care about more, because I start every keynote, ask your customers what they want, give them what they want, and you get what you want, which is money. So the qualitative is actually something that most CROs don't even look at. That's actually that first thing that I want to look at. So highly recommend. You don't need to be to the brands of the size that you guys work at to really work on that as well. I check out site speed. I find even on SEO, there's a whole bunch of low-hanging fruit that like people don't talk about it, but the website is everything. Channel specific, mission critical, and obviously landing pages. But the definition of a landing page is not like a listicle, an advertorial, like the long form like most people think. I've been noticing like a lot of the brands on Heatmap that are like highest revenue, sending their traffic straight to homepage and crushing it. AOV gets quite a bit bigger. Not sure if you guys have found that.
Paid social.
Yeah, paid social traffic running to homepage is something that I've seen as a big trend. It's kind of like you're walking into a brick and mortar store. You don't want to like force an exit, right? Like you don't want an entrance to be forced for them to walk into a certain aisle. You want them to have the full everything, right? Like, go find what you want. Like, the purpose of an ad is to get a qualified, interested person to the website, and then nothing about ads. They're not going to buy because the ad. They're buying because of the website. Are those like those ads that are running to that? Are those generally like single product, or are those like more branded, multi-product? So not catalog ads to the homepage. Like, I've seen just a lot of static to homepage. Like, sounds like too simple to be true, but I see people ripping, 30, 40K a day on that formula.
Because like for the reason I'm asking, like, we usually go and we found most success with like a very clear funnel. And I think these guys have as well, where it's like, all right, Miracle Bomb ad, Miracle Bomb landing page, what the foundation ad, what the foundation landing page. And like, we've struggled when like the funnel isn't congruent. Like, our main landing pages are single product ones, whether it's a listicle or not. And like, when we have somebody that uses multiple products, like, we don't have a great page. Maybe I'll try ripping it to the homepage. So that's what I'm wondering, if it's like single product that's going to a homepage, or if it's more of like, hey, here's just like a branded value prop.
100%. Well, there's also obviously like top, middle, bottom.
Mhm.
So if you have, I always say, if you're in health, wellness, consumables, you are being a hot damn fool if you're not running listicles or advertorials, like long form, even like cool. Like if you're not running a dedicated lander because there's, information to explain why you're different. Right. So even, like for Hexclad, like it's like close enough that I'd say like it's anyone that has true USPs in their product. It's like a very commoditized thing. Like, cool, you can kind of rip to product page, rip to homepage, like that type of stuff makes sense. But for top of funnel, which is where a majority of your traffic is spent, in budget, like, yeah, those ones do educate a lot. And then retargeting to the homepage is like something that works wonders. And I've seen the trend of ads to PDP, with the exception of like TPAs and catalog ads, 100%. I've seen that trend be running away.
You guys run any paid traffic to homepage?
Not to home. We do a bunch of listicles because we are like, we're such an expensive product and we need to educate on why we're premium. We started moving a little more up funnel in the sense that we're driving people to collection pages from our landing pages. So like we do a bunch of listicles. We do a bunch of like what I just call like info heavy. They're not a listicle, but just like an info heavy landing page. And then we're sending more of those to a collection page where it's like we're merchandising the 12-piece set more prominently, but we're seeing really good performance just by giving people more optionality. But the homepage is interesting. We're not doing, I don't think, any of that right now.
So I'll give shout outs to collections pages as well. Beautiful middle and bottom of funnel area, just like homepage. Because especially like, I'd say more for Connor McDonald, like you guys like have such a robust, different types of offerings. Well, I mean, same to you, Roland, as well. Like, there's so many different types of products that like you got to merchandise somehow. Like Cody, I feel like your homepages, like, if you run ads to you, would probably rip more than theirs, just because like it's pretty concentrated in the types of products you offer. But for you guys, there's so many types that like I'm sure you have to segment a whole ton to be able to not just segment based on, like types and, ISPs, but like, actual like, top, middle, bottom and per product. So retargeting to collection is another thing that I've been seeing as well.
I'm happy to hear you say the thing about like the research, and I'm big on that. And I said it, to you and you guys like this like AI, research thing that we started using, because I personally feel like I suck at like I have too much ADD to do recordings. I'm curious like how you think about recordings. We're heat map customers. Like I use it. I have questions about it because I don't feel like I get it enough to be able to like create a testing roadmap or like build digital product based on it. It like the insights are not as clear as I would like them to be. But when I do like user research, I have just like pages and pages of notes of things. So like I find, and I'm sure you probably use combination of qualitative and quantitative, but like I find so much more value and I get so many more insights into actually hearing from customers like, oh yeah, this was confusing to me.
If you're listening to this podcast, I know that you're working hard to drive revenue with upsells and across your e-com site generally. But if you're not monetizing your post-purchase experience, you're leaving easy profit on the table. Most brands and everyone listening are optimizing the transaction journey, but stopping at the thank you page. And that is a big mistake. Aftersell is changing that. We've been using their Rock Thanks feature at Ridge, and it's a no-brainer for us. Here's how it works. You show premium, non-competing offers from brands like Disney Plus and HelloFresh on your order confirmation page. AI-driven personalization picks the best offer from hundreds of reputable advertisers, and brands like True Classic, BlendJet, and Jones Road Beauty are already using it, seeing 30 to 70 cents lift per order. No disruption, no fees, just extra cash in the bank. And the numbers speak for themselves. After-sale customers generate $20,000 to $30,000 in pure profit per 100,000 orders. There's a 16% average engagement rate, which is way better than traditional ads, and it's a new revenue stream without disrupting the checkout. It's an easy win, and it's completely free to try. Plus, Aftersell is hooking up marketing operators listeners because you can sign up today and you get their entire upselling suite for a year, which we also use very heavily. So visit aftersell.com/operators to try Rock Thanks and see the money rolling in. Stop leaving money on the table. Turn your thank you page into more revenue with Aftersell.
So I'm going to give the craziest hot take. Me as a CRO, screen recordings are nowhere near as important as the other features we have. It's just that we would get slaughtered in the market if we didn't have screen recordings as well. There's some CROs that do take that time. Cody, I don't know the last time you've been in, but we did add intent scores and we do tie it to revenue. So
Dude,
you
I'm
can
in every
actually
day.
like filter. Oh, love to hear that. Now with the analytics, you can actually be in there even more. But like that's wicked cool to hear. So yeah, that's kind of what we've been seeing. So screen recordings, they do take a heck ton of time. But for your ADD, the best part, like email feedback surveys. Like the thing is, the way that I always say, look, like if you're doing it for the first time, take your past 90-day purchasers and expert tip your last 90-day non-purchasers that have visited the website. So you're asking these people questions that start with what and how, like what's interesting, like what's most important to you when buying, something you put on your face. What's most important to you when, looking for sneakers, for example. Like, never start with why, because that makes people defensive subconsciously. So it's another fun fact. So if it's like, why do you buy this type of product? They're like, oh, well, I don't want to have to explain myself. So subtle thing on customer feedback surveys, but never want more than 6 to 8 questions. Shoot one out for, what made them purchase, but it has to be no one that is less than, call it like 7 days. So like 7 to 90 days, up to 180 if you want, like that. If you don't have a super seasonal product, that totally works. You send that out. Toss it into chat. If you'd like on Heatmap, we actually have the feature native. We added it about a month and a half ago. So you can send it right there, does all the analysis, tosses the AI together with everything else. So that is like hands down, like you want to find your true USPs, just ask your customers. They will literally tell you.
So I have a question on this because I was expecting to hear questions about like, and maybe I'm thinking about it too literally, but like site usability, where it's like, oh, did you have any issues purchasing today or something? Like when I think CRO, I'm like, oh, let's identify what parts of the web experience are people valuing or struggling with or whatever else. But what you're saying is actually customer surveys or prospect surveys to just identify USPs. So then you're taking in like qualitative data and then you're applying that to like how you actually want to adjust the website. So there's like a level of like interpretation between.
That's a big misnomer about it, right? Like even to operators of your level, that's a very big misconception. The word conversion rate optimization, whoever named it should be pushed off a cliff. Like it's not about your conversion rate. It's really like business optimization. Like I found like when running a CRO agency, we would see what our media buying agencies were doing, the email agencies were doing, but no one was like digging into the customer, digging into the business. Like everything matters. The only way you make $1, at least, in pure D2C, is like someone clicking that buy button. So like we were like the shepherds to make sure everyone's channels were going well. So I found that like if you really think like in the lens of business optimization, like maybe exclude like Amazon marketplaces, but that's really what matters the most, right? Then beyond what matters the most, we ran over 4,000 split tests at splittesting.com, and 80/20 of the huge revenue lifting tests is just copywriting and images. All the dev heavy UX, maybe with the exception of like bundle builders, that's the one exception that I'll say of UX heavy things. Other than that, man, it is just copywriting and images. It's what people see and what they read. That's what makes them buy. Like something being a little bit more convenient down here and a sticky add to cart. Navigation might be one exception. So like there's very few exceptions, but man, like the 95.5, it's really just your copywriting and the images and videos you have on the site. So if you take it from that angle, like, heat maps tell you like, okay, cool. If people are clicking these sections, this type of content's important to them. Let's make more of it. That's how you can take things that are traditional UX tools and like use it qualitatively. Like I've seen some email marketers that are killing it, and like people go to the navigation after they send it from an email, and like they're now maybe pushing it to that page. So there's a ton that you can do, but it's just really the creative. Same with the ad creative. Like if you're a media buyer, like you're not going to be sending the same ad creative everywhere. It's like ad creative is possibly the most important. I'm sure like you guys could, have done a bajillion of debates about like targeting versus your ad creatives. Like I'm of the belief that like your ad creative is your targeting. Think about it the same on your website. It's all your creative. So like, that's why I have such a heavy angle and like bias towards that, and just based on results over time.
I can confirm that, by the way. I mean, some of our like biggest just content-based lifts in our CRO testing have been from these not images, but we produce like a hero hype reel for every new product we make and for some of our product categories, and just like placing a really beautifully shot thumbnail on top of our hero image on the product page that people can click and get a full screen experience has driven massive improvements in revenue per user. And now we're shooting those every single new product we make because of that.
Good for you.
I was going to say, I like the point around conversion rate optimization being like a really problematic term for the space. I had the craziest conversation. This was a couple months ago, but I have a buddy at a brand and they're pretty big. They're doing $20 or $30 million a year. And he asked me, he's like, what's your guys' conversion rate? And honestly, I don't really know. Site-wide conversion rate. I was like, roughly 1% to 2% or something. He goes, yeah, we're just having trouble. The board says I need a conversion rate over 2.5%. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, dude, you should leave. If the leadership is like prescribing these meaningless metrics that you have to hold yourselves to, it's like they're just like strangling the business. And I think people haven't embraced that like ultimately that blended number means so little, and like having strong opinions about it can be like very limiting.
100%. So I'll give you kind of the rant as to why like conversion rate. That's what I always say. Like, to be honest, like everyone's like known online for something. If you got a personal brand, like we all do, like honestly, I'm cool being the conversion rate guy, even as the CRO dude. So like, if you think about it, okay, so if you guys want to triple your conversion rate, like in the next 24 hours, cut all your ads and send 5 emails, and great, your conversion rate will probably triple, maybe even quadruple. Rock and roll. Should you do that for your business? Probably not. So also, like what will cut your conversion rate in half? Double your top of funnel spend. It's going to happen. So there's one thing that's outside of your website that doesn't change. If you're a seasonal business, if you're selling, like actually, Connor, I'm curious, well, both Connors, I'm curious, do you guys find that your product is seasonal at all? Like I would think like less than others, but probably yours, the larger AOV, right?
Oh yeah. So, we'll do over half of our revenue in the last 2 months of the year.
I'd say that's common for the more, Black Friday like crowd for sure, but I would guess it's not as much about like the winter of it all per se. So yeah, that's one thing I find interesting. So seasonality, if you're selling surfboards in winter, do you really expect your conversion rate to be the same? No, same website, nothing changes. Let's say you're out of stock of one of your top 3 sellers, conversion rate's going to plummet. That's not to do with your website. Let's take things like a competitor that's starting to bash, 100K in ads a day. You're going to have different inventory. Also, there's so much difference in the ad creatives. Let's say you have a higher percentage of testing in your ads that you're running. Like, may not be as qualified, may not be, PIs, ROAS, or whatever metric you guys care about. But that's really one of the things, that's kind of pretty important. So like, I can list like 10 more of these of like things that are just completely unrelated to the website that affect conversion rate, of quality of traffic and all of that stuff. So why blame your website for conversion rate? It's literally all of your marketing. That's what's important.
Oh yeah. It's all of your marketing. It's the economy. Like, when conversion rates were good, when the government was giving everybody stimulus checks.
Yeah.
That was some CRO optimization.
100%.
So our conversion rate is up, year over year, like pretty significantly. And I'll tell you, our business is not where I would like to be. Our acquisition performance is definitely not up, but we just have way more repeat customers than we used to. And like 2 years ago, we were like 70% new. Obviously, we've stacked the repeat cohort. So last year was probably like 60-40 new returning. We'll do more returning revenue than new this year. So a lot more of our traffic is repeat, which is obviously going to convert better. And I'm very happy I don't bonus somebody based off conversion rate, because it's not like our site is any better than it used to be.
Yeah, there were some, conversion rate focused clients in the agency that like, I asked like, cool, what's your goals? Why are you coming to us? Like, what makes you even want to hire a CRO agency? And they're like, we're struggling with our conversion rate. I immediately go into the conversion rate conversation. I'm like, cool. Like, if that's what you're trying to optimize for, we are not your agency. If you want to increase EBITDA, if you want to, get as many new customers as possible, because like some people are fine, like, losing money on first purchase because they know they're going to come back so much, just probably more like yours, Cody. So it's like, cool. If people have specific goals, then I'd, even consider them as clients. But no, those conversion rate people, like, nah.
Now, if you were to, just for the listeners to be clear, if you were to split test pages and you've changed copy and images, you would be looking at something like a conversion rate in that instance as like the metric that you're trying to change. It's just the like it's the more blended general conversion rate that you care less about. Like you care about it relative to what you had before or directionally if you're A/B testing something, but then it kind of, after that, you don't really care about it. Is that,
Couldn't
am I
disagree
articulate?
more.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Well,
Can I guess what
so-
Dylan's going to say? Can I guess?
Do it.
You care about revenue per session and
Let's
profit per
go,
session?
baby. Let's go,
right.
baby.
Okay. Of course. I'll let you. We're in agreement. But
But you'll look at it, right? You'll look at a test and be like, hey, this variant increased conversion rate but decreased AOV, so it's worth profit per session or something like that, right? Like you still look at it as not what you're optimizing for.
It's like I use it to help contextualize what's going on, but like it's honestly no more than 5 to 10%. It's just like a quick check. If it looks similar, if it's like completely dropped off a cliff, like that's the one exception that like if something is dropped off a cliff, there could be a bug in the test. Like, like there's stuff like that like if we're looking like 30, 40% lower, like, yeah, I'll go take a look at it. But other than that, for judging like, a genuinely statistically significant, statistically powered, which most people don't know either, test, then yeah, we'll take a look at it. But no, it's not, not the thing by any means. So,
right. But you do like revenue percent. In the example that I gave, your test and copy and images, revenue percent would be the metric that you care about influencing. Or
100%.
Yeah, you could even go down to profit per visit if you want, but like those relative to users is what you care about more.
Yeah. So, there's not too many softwares that offer profit per visit. Funny enough, it's kind of like a nice to have to me, because if revenue per session is going up, and especially AOV, that's the one that I look at, honestly, equally. Like, how's AOV? How's revenue per session? Because if your AOV drops, revenue per session will likely drop or stay the same. So I'd rather take a higher, like, especially for you guys as you're in the weeds, like, I'd rather take slightly less purchases with a higher AOV if revenue per session was the same, right? So let's say we take a little bit less sessions or like a slightly lower conversion rate, slightly higher AOV. That's my profile of revenue per session that I prefer, because your contribution margin is higher than if it was the inverse. If it's the inverse and you care about getting as many new customers in the door, a lower AOV with more purchases, then that works. But for 9 times out of 10, I think most people care about profit versus growth at all costs. That was a, 20 teens thing.
I am super excited to tell you about our newest sponsor, Revo. They are a retention platform for Shopify Plus brands. They start with signed-in shopping via accounts and get into loyalty, referrals, memberships, cashback, and so much more. They're constantly launching new features. I personally am super excited about the future of signed-in shopping for e-commerce brands, and really accounts being the beachhead for just awesome loyalty and customer experiences, and Revo playing a part in making it a better experience to be a customer of your brand. And Ridge isn't the only brand using Revo today. Hexclad, True Classic, Dr. Squatch, Portland Leather Goods, Princess Polly, Kitsch, Pit Viper, and hundreds of more brands are using Revo on their Shopify Plus accounts. That is like $1 billion in GMV. That is an insane list of brands to be listing off. Stuart Chaney, founder-led. He's all over Twitter. He's hands-on in Slack. Great team to work with. I also think they're kind of the next wave of SaaS. You'll see Stuart talking on Twitter about being incredibly AI-oriented in their development, and they're shipping better features faster than ever before. So excited to see what comes of Revo. I suggest you check it out at revo.io. That's RIVO.io.
I was going to ask that. That was going to be my next question. So you're saying, just to be clear, let's say you ran a test and you had 2 variations, same revenue per session, but one got there with better conversion rate, lower AOV. The other one had lower conversion rate, better AOV. You're picking the better AOV?
For a majority of brands, because I've come like service side, that like, it's like, hey, what do you care about? Getting more customers or profitability?
And so you're saying landed gross margin is better, like because shipping is less of a percent. Okay.
So yeah, the answer is AOV. Obviously, like, nothing is 100% across the board, but I'm comfortable making that recommendation across the board, because if you just do the math, it's like less per shipping, per order, like it's a better contribution margin by percentage. So to those who don't know, you guys I'm sure know, but to those who may not out there.
I agree with that. I'm curious what the Connors think, but that's kind of the way I've gone. And I've always felt like, and maybe this is nonsense, but like, all right, let's take the AOV win. Like, that's great. And like, we can find other stuff that lifts conversion rate that like shouldn't decrease AOV. Like I can test some more trust signals. Maybe we lost 5% on conversion rate on compared to, our control. Like we can then go and test into that, and it might be easier to lift versus AOV is like, let's take that win when we can get it. Connors, how do you guys feel about it?
Yeah, we've almost always found that increasing AOV has been what's best for the business. I do think it's incredibly brand dependent. And I also think it's incredibly consumer dependent. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. And one, we found a lot of wins that decreasing the price 20%, we can increase conversion rate 50%. And the revenue per session is just a combination of the two of those things. That's why I'm like, conversion rate and AOV both matter. And then together, that's kind of how you get to revenue per session. So we found a lot of wins going the other way. Now, what I'm describing is not like net neutral on a revenue percent basis. We found revenue percent improvements by reducing AOV. The only thing that I said, and this is what we talked about a couple of weeks ago, was if I were acquiring net revenue per session the same, but can I get it at a lower AOV and a higher conversion rate? One, there might be value to having more product out in the world. Two, you're sending more signal back to Meta. So that's what we just went through this experience where we could basically drive 50% more orders at a 30% lower AOV. So it was net the same, but I was like, I'd almost rather drive more orders. I'd rather send more signal back to Meta, optimize quicker, things like that. So that's how I would take the other side of that argument. But all to say, we've landed on both sides over time. Yeah.
Yeah. We've actually been seeing it. I mean, it's been both over time. I mean, like we offer these like $1,000, $1,400 bundles now every single sale period, and just rebrand them. Those have been huge for increasing AOV. More recently, I've taken the stance that we need to have better offers to let people try the brand out while still pushing people into the higher bundles through just price merchandising. And like I've struggled to make that argument with leadership because their big pushback is, well, we don't want to cannibalize our set sales. And my take is, I think the increase in conversion rate will way outweigh the cannibalization we see in set sales. And that's exactly what happened. Like we've tested this over Mother's Day, and we did see AOV drop like $40. I mean, it was still really, really high. But the conversion rate increased like 20%. So our revenue per user was up like 15%. So I'm like, all right, guys, this is a better experience. We are losing a small percentage of set sales. That's fine because we're getting way more new customers and repeat customers coming in and buying because we have offers that are a little bit more for the person that wants to try out a single pot or pan, which by the way is still like $150 order. So we've seen it go both ways as well, but totally agree. I think it depends on the business, but that's where I've been actually more focused recently is the conversion rate wins, because we've merchandised this like $700 set so prominently for so long. And I think there's this whole other cohort of people that want to buy a pot or a pan or maybe two and then come back and buy more later on. And I'd rather have them buy something than nothing. And we've proven that is the best case scenario with these split tests we ran.
Yeah. Super interesting. So question, Connor, before, if I get to the pleasure of asking the operators a question, you mentioned price testing. How do you guys view price testing? Is that something you've beat to death on the pod before, or is that something you guys maybe want to dive in on?
I would definitely not beat to death. I wouldn't say it's gone that far. We do quite a bit of it. It's been a big focus of ours over the last couple of years. I've said before, I think it's highly underutilized by brands, and especially like once you're doing tens of millions or 100 million plus or whatever, there's like my favorite price test we've ever ran was on pens. Not a big part of our business, incredibly small, frankly. But doing the price test that we did like 18 months ago, and that was like a 20% reduction in price, 60% increase in conversion rate. So big lift in revenue per session. That's hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's more or less just going straight to the bottom line. And that's just like price audience fit that we're missing for a very long time. And once we figured out what worked better, we just started selling way more pens. So yeah, what's
a bar? Price audience fit. That's a bar.
Yeah, totally. And the thing is also it changes over time. And that's where I'm like, we got away with increasing prices for a really long time and driving higher bundles, but like price audience fit changes depending on what consumers need at that time. And like, I would say right now for consumers, it's significantly different than it was in 2021. So like we have to adjust our pricing and bundling and average order value strategies. But what's your take on price testing?
We did our first price testing Q1 of this year. We didn't do any price increase since we launched like almost 4.5 years ago. So we wanted to, but before just, rolling it out, I wanted to test it. So we did, we ended up rolling it out. We did see a slight decrease in like revenue per session. But it wasn't enough where we thought we still thought it was worthwhile. Obviously, like we get better gross margin, and we got a lot, obviously like at our scale, like we got a lot of feedback, like a lot of people were noticing. So I do think they were anchoring it to the old price a little bit, and maybe that confounds the data. But again, regardless, it was worth it, and things kind of stabilized. We saw a slight dip in conversion rate after it, so it was worthwhile. But I think for us, there was a lot of operational stuff and feedback where like I don't think it would be a great evergreen thing for us, and people are like, we have this like group of like 80,000 people in a Facebook group, and they just notice everything. And like if like it's like a cent off, and like I've heard like Sean and Connor talk about it, like customers like don't realize like maybe it's different brand to brand, and I'm totally fine with it. And I think like there is a ton of and value in doing it, especially I think if you're like a promotional brand or doing offers, like what is a better discount percentage? Like if I was going to run a discount on anything, like I would absolutely do it. But there was just a lot of feedback, so it's not something I think we'll do like a ton of ongoing.
Yeah,
but I'm all about like free shipping threshold, stuff like that. Like we work with PGQ, so we're always testing different shipping options, methods. Like I think that there's a lot of untapped potential in there that we've seen some pretty good lifts with.
Agree. Offer testing is one of the biggest levers on the planet. What about you, Connor?
Yeah, we do it. Honestly, not as much as I would like to. It's become a stronger muscle. So our aprons is a good example. Like I think we launched our aprons at too high of a price point. We price tested it, and really the same thing we saw is that Mother's Day offer test. AOV came down, but conversion rate went way up, and it was impossible not to conclude that the lower price point was driving more revenue on our aprons funnels. So it's something we're starting to do more and more instead of just assuming we can put these prices as high as we want and just continue to sell those products. But I think most brands like overlook that. I mean, that is probably the place to start when you're optimizing any funnel. It's like you can have the best creative in the world, the best copy in the world, the best positioning in the world, but if the price is off, like it's all for naught. So I'm trying to like make that a stronger muscle. Like let's start there instead of thinking like what's the new version of this landing page that's going to scale. It's like, well, if we can just make that traffic convert 10-15% better, like maybe we don't need to make another iterative landing page, and we've just solved a lot of our problems.
Yeah, you nailed it. A little side note, this is almost a vent, but I as a serial entrepreneur, I've been brand side, been agency side, now SaaS side, which makes my brain spin every day. It's wild. Price testing and e-com can kind of be pretty straightforward. The hardest practice in my entire entrepreneurial career is SaaS pricing. It's been the most wild thing to most of those that a lot of brands that hate us SaaS slingers out there, man. It's been the hardest thing. Like we went like stupid low to get people to come in, just like for you guys, like an intro offer. We just launched our web analytics like $29 a month, like even for $100 million brands or day 10 brands at $29 a month, because everyone needs these analytics. And like I feel like it's like our duty to make sure everyone has this, and like whatever. I'm not going to go too far into it, but good Lord, has been like the hardest practice in my entire career. So price testing, I'm pretty hot on. My TLDR on like, e-com price testing for sure. I love seeing a 5 to 10% below. I like seeing a 5 to 10% higher. And then I like to see a 20 to 25% higher. Those are typically my ranges that I look at if you're going to run. You guys have the, beautiful luxury of a ton of traffic. So some people may not be able to do that, but like, choose that range below or above, like, and you don't want it to necessarily be like $86 versus $89. Like there's a lot of methodology that goes behind that. A fun fact for you, ending in 9 is a CPG e-commerce thing for like software and for services and other things. There's psychology that the number 7 being the ending is actually works a little bit better. But sometimes for, things it does, like being 87 versus 89 87 feels a lot more palatable for SaaS if you think about it, like just subconsciously. But then for like, a product, like having it $89 or $90 might actually convert better, which is pretty crazy. So there's psychology of numbers, like Sarah Levinger. If you guys, get to talk with her, she's a freaking queen and has taught me a lot about that as well, which has been another really cool deep dive.
I want to chat heat map analytics stuff. I want to get better at heat maps. What if I share my screen and Dylan, you can just like show me how you would look at it?
Oh, dude, hell yeah.
Done.
All right, cool. You seeing that? So I just pulled up homepage and happy to, share this on the live one. Like, I'll look at it and I'm like, all right, cool. Like people are clicking a button, but like I'd be really worried if they're not clicking a button, right? So like, obviously you can tell and see where people are clicking on, but it's like, it's a lot of the obvious things where it's like, all right, cool. Like people are clicking on it. Walk me through it, Dylan. What would you look at? What would you want to see? Should I pull up like a data table?
You're good. You can keep it there. So let's take a first look. So we're looking at our hero. You follow all the best practice there. You want a human face. You want the product to still be center. Great hero image. So that's just, I'll give you the qualitative as well. Your it might even be one of the AI insights, but your headline that you have there should be at least 18 point font. So that's one thing that I would look at, because and another thing I saw on your site, you should never ever have less than 14. Typically for an older demographic, never less than 16 point font, ever. If you are anything less than that, just go and do it right now. Don't split test it. You can message me if not, but like that's just a guaranteed yes. So that text is way too small there.
Are you talking headline or body copy?
No copy on a website should ever be less than 14. No headline should ever be less than 18.
Okay. Cool.
So,
appreciate that.
Cool. So, like you said, scroll down a little bit. Those are all pretty standard, pretty common. So now where we get interesting. So, open up that data table and slide it out just a drop. Cool. So, revenue per session and revenue per click. Like we call it ECVR, like of element conversion rate. This is not the conversion rate of everything, but let's say your header, if someone clicks on it, like there was, 120,000 clicks on there, 10% of those people went on to buy. Whether it was direct from here, a different page, we aggregate all the sessions everywhere. That's how heat maps work, which is like, well, we're the only one that ties to revenue, so it does that. So now if you go in and dive in, there's a couple of things here. So what we see is the revenue per session, which is the revenue divided by everyone who clicked on an element, divided by the total visitors on the page, which is slightly different than revenue per click. Revenue is the total revenue like driven by people who clicked on an element divided by the number of clicks. So like, in this, revenue per session is kind of like the market share of revenue that that is something on a page, of like how much market share comes, kind of similar to revenue. But then revenue per click is like how potent is this element when people do go and click on it. So that's one thing that's really important to know, the distinction. We got a ton of articles on it. That's like really crucial. We're the only ones that have this metric, and that's like the most valuable one and why I even built it to start. So a couple of things that I see now that are interesting. So one of the fastest wins on Heatmap is like reordering collection styles. Like it is such a fast and gnarly, awesome win. So if you go ahead and click on all four of those, let's just take a look at the revenue per session. And one other thing, by the way, so revenue per session is comparing apples to apples. So if you're looking at a bunch of collection tiles together, that's when you want to look at, revenue per session to compare them. If you're looking at like, hey, is this, full width search bar positive on this page? Is it above or below the page average? That's kind of, comparing it to filter options. That's when you want to look at revenue per click and that type of stuff. That's when it's really useful.
Can I ask a clarifying question here? So like
Totally.
Revenue per session for this little product element is 75 cents. Is that the value of everyone who saw that element?
So no, that is revenue per view. That's coming up in the next month. So what you're seeing here is revenue divided by the total sessions on the page.
Yeah, but I would imagine then the one next to it's 65 cents. So why are those different? They're both right next to one another on the same page. That's what I need to clear.
So it's still click. So it's click data, but then it's just multiplied by number of sessions. Right.
Well, click is taken out of there. It's total revenue driven by the element, regardless of the clicks. That's why it's potency of the element. Does that make sense?
But how do you know what revenue is driven by it?
If someone does click, but that's not part of the calculation.
Got it.
I'm still a little confused on it.
So let's rock and roll. I'll go through it. That, like, to be honest, some people use heat map with just revenue per session, and it works beautifully. Revenue per view is something else. So you also click on that collection tile right there also. So we do have, you can shorten up the table a little bit. So scroll percent, we meant to have that as visibility. I gave that in. 58% of people are seeing this. So this is another thing that I look at. Your target above the fold is for 70% of people to go below the fold. That is a hard metric that I tell people, just optimize above the fold until you get to that number and move down, obviously, because less people see further down on the page. And you'll actually notice there's an interesting trend that, like, people would think the stuff down at the bottom, like, oh, they've scrolled so far, they're more bought in, like there's more revenue down here. It's actually not true, like, at all. That was something that shocked me as I get my hands on more heat map data. So that's like a hard, steady metric. You want that 60, 70%. So like 60 is good, keep going down the page. 70 is golden. Because I told you, like, you have a great hero section, like, you're good. Like, if you even click the all products one right above that, I bet you it'll be even a little bit higher than that 58%. And you go right there. 15, no one bought, but see, 70%. You hit the golden. You are one of the only people that are hitting that metric. That's amazing.
Nice.
So now let's go into the collection tiles. So good for you, man. Like I said, amazing hero section. So if we click on all four of those to take a look, we'll be able to see. So this one's 47 cents. The first one I think was 75, right?
Yep.
My memory serves me. Cool. Let's go to the third one. That's 65. Look, so that one right there, and then 60. So those two are driving more than the one at the top right. So if you either want to remove that with a different product or just toss that to the bottom, it seems like a minor thing, but it's really not a minor thing, especially like when you're on collections pages. Like some of our AI insights just say, hey, reorder in this way. Same things go with, like, FAQs. FAQs are actually one of your most profitable clicks on your website, because that's like, people really asking questions and want to learn more. So that's a big one. So the other factor that you have here, so click that see all. That's in the top right. Let's see if that's good for us or not, right? So we have a 10 cents revenue per session and a $10 revenue per click. So let's open up that data table again. And we're looking at 10 and 10 pretty much. Your average revenue per session is 23 and 11 on revenue per click. So I'd be quite interested in seeing you remove that see all, because compared to page average, I think that see all might be actually hurting you, that getting them to either scroll further down, maybe hit the navigation, hit one of those products to start checking them out. The see all is not doing you justice there.
Hey, Dylan, can I ask a clarifying question about how you would like operationalize this? So you're getting all these insights based on revenue per session, revenue per click, scroll rate, all these things, and then you're making hypotheses and you're saying, all right, well, I think that top right product card should get like merchandise further down on the page, and the row 2 should come up because the revenue per session is better. Are you like hot publishing these changes, or are you actually saying, I want to like validate this and do an actual split test and see?
That's a good test. That's a good question.
Yeah.
100%. So the formal term for my fellow nerds out there, it's actually split testing versus live testing. So live testing is just taking something, putting it on your website, monitoring metrics. The next one is, formal split testing, which we all know. So there's very few that I'm looking at doing like, a live test. The ones typically that are live tests, I'm only looking at site-wide, or like, let's say all collections pages or all product pages or the navigation, which is on every page. Those are ones that, hot take, I actually do a lot of live testing on, which if you have the luxury of traffic, it takes, 2 weeks and the data and, your dev team to go in and put it in and, go into the editor and all that type of stuff. But it's something that's super interesting. So on, site-wide ones, those are actually a hot take that I do typically live test.
And if you're live test, what are you looking at? Like what data would you be looking at to validate? Are you looking at like a revenue per session in GA or something for that whole page, like period over period? Or what are you looking at to validate if that live test has like benefited the website's performance?
Definitely revenue per session on heat map, but you can't take a look at GA. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, right. But for the whole page and just like period over period.
Yes.
Got
So I would take a look at everything the same way for like a split test. Like you can't really see like ROAS or like, that those type of performance metrics of like ads on those, but you can take a look at that in live testing, which is actually an advantage of live testing. So that's something that I would take a look at as well. So the same way you're looking at your revenue per session, you're looking at your AOV, you're looking if there's any outliers in conversion rate, whether high or low. So just like everything we said about measuring a split test, measuring a live test is the same, but also maybe some email flows are performing even better. So maybe that as a channel is working well, and you might want to send your flows to a duped page that does that. So, there's a lot to dive into in live testing. Like you got to do a ton, especially if they're bigger ones. So that's kind of what I look like. I mean, also, I'm a huge fan of duping pages. It's like a really underutilized thing, like, especially if you're going to like, send traffic to it. Or no, it's a through page, right? Like a view through page. Sorry, couldn't find the word. But yeah, that's another one I am a big fan of duping, like a collections page that comes from a certain, like maybe your navbar collections page is just duped with a different headline. That's something. So it's like find your perfect, bomb, for example. And it's like, if you're looking for that type of stuff, like, because they're going more discovery phase. It's almost like a top and middle. That makes it more of a bottom of funnel because they're a couple of clicks into their session. So duping a page and like changing one or two things actually does so much for you.
You've heard us talk about Prescient AI before. We work with them at Jones Road, but you still might be wondering, what is it? What is this MMM thing? At its core, Prescient really helps brands get more out of every marketing dollar that they're spending by showing them what's working, what's not, and where to spend their money next. The Prescient team knows modern marketing is a sum of many things: your media spend, seasonality, other marketing campaigns, consumer sentiment, and so much more. That's why they don't rely on pixels, biased platform measurement, or old research models to help you make the most confident decisions. They truly built their MMM from the ground up based on models that adapt to your data and evolve over time, not the other way around. If you want to measure the halo effect that your campaigns are having on all of your channels, I'm talking about e-commerce, Amazon, and even retail, then Prescient can help you out. You can test new channels, predict future performance of those channels, know how much you should be spending on each of them, and continuously optimize how you spend your budget to make it as efficient as possible, which, listen, we all need right now. You can do this all without sacrificing your upper funnel budget or bottom line KPIs. Prescient has proven to us how truly incremental and efficient some of our upper funnel channels like TVR that was very hard to measure prior to it. So if you've been wanting to try Prescient, they just upgraded their model, and their vision across measurement and retail is truly next level. They take marketing decision making where it's never been able to go to before. If you want to learn more and gain insights into how you can optimize your entire media mix in as little as 48 hours, then go to prescientai.com/operators and book a demo today. Dylan, I love, and I've heard you guys talk about it, but I love just the reordering thing based on like revenue per session. I've done it. I've looked at revenue per click, so I'll start looking at per session. But it's just such a simple tactical one that like I think everybody should do that has heat map. I also get the see all and comparing that to our kind of full page revenue per session. What about if something doesn't have, and maybe it's a limitation of heat map, like a press bar or something like that, like something that like you're not supposed to click on but could be driving value? Like how would I know if this or like something like that is even like doing anything for us and should be on the page or should just be removed?
We got a hot feature coming up because we collect 204 data points per 100 milliseconds, which our AWS bill is painful. But what's cool is that we're actually going to be taking a look at dwell time on, content sections and seeing if it correlates positively with revenue. So that's something that's very near on the roadmap. So we'll be able to tell if like, just like plain images and copy sections are like, if people read them, does this convert higher? I haven't seen anyone do that yet, which is like one thing I've always wondered about. So like things I'm wondering about, I find are the things you guys are wondering about too. So like that is one thing that's on the roadmap, which I'm pretty pumped about. So my answer is unfortunate limitation of any heat map on the market right now, but for us, we will be able to have that soon.
All right, cool. I didn't even know that, so that's cool.
I have a question around reordering. I'm always disappointed in the tools available like just the Shopify default collections is like you can shop by like all time top selling, you can sort by price, but they have no sort of smart collection ordering, which I think is like crazy. There's nothing even slightly dynamic. Is that just a limitation? Do you know any brands doing cool stuff that can just more automatically? Because what we're describing here is extremely valuable, but for a brand like Ridge, we're launching multiple products. What's popular changes over time. We could operationalize this and do this every week or every other week or something like that. But I'd love something more dynamic. Do you know any solutions?
So there are some, the names escape me at the moment. But the real way to do it with control is personalization. So a lot of these split testing platforms say they do personalization, not to, bash my fellow, split testing partners out there, but like some of them do personalization. I found Visually.io does like an amazing job at it, like for personalizing after a test. So you can have people coming from a certain traffic, source. They're seeing this like ordering, they see, they're returning, they might see this ordering, right? And it could even be dynamic based on what they bought. So these split testing platforms, I don't know if you guys have ever heard or used dynamic yield. It's like one of the old school ones, but it's like turned into a personalization platform more than a split testing platform. Like people don't buy it for the purpose of split testing. They buy it for the purpose of personalization. That what you're asking about is personalization, which is, a clear future of CRO, like for example, having two landing pages, like having a male and a female as a hero image. I found that to be really effective. And then having ads with certain models, running men, running female, like probably for the less less for Cody, I'd say. But that's something that that is personalization. But it's not personalization at scale like you're asking, Connor. So per levels of personalization, there's the L1s, L2s, but you're kind of looking at that like level 9, level 10, domination stuff. So that's out there. Typically in the split testing platforms, you could do it post-test and then personalize it post-test, depending on what platform you're using.
Awesome. Dylan, that was cool. That was really helpful. How about funnels? So you guys launched funnels, which I think is cool. I've looked at it and the thing that I don't know is I don't know what is good or not, right? We have, for example, right? Like our default purchase, 54% of people get to product page, right? 11% of people get to add to cart, whatever percent gets to checkout. I have no idea if that's good or not. So I think theoretically, anytime I've talked to everybody, they're like, oh, where are you losing people in the funnel? Let's optimize there. I'm like, I don't know. Cause it's expected you're going to lose people. I don't know what is good. Do you have benchmarks? I've been pressing you guys for them. Do you have any that would help steer us in the right direction?
Sorry, dude, we launched the feature 2 weeks ago. Give us some time, man.
No, not as possible.
I'll give you some high level ones across 400 brands. Some this is just what we had at the time earlier. So take a guess the percentage on average across all brands, right? So the first thing when looking at benchmarks are bullcrap unless you have AOV as a filter. Because AOV is the single biggest change that Connor's metrics are going to look so different than Cody's, Roland specifically. They're going to look so wickedly different because Cody, where does your AOV sit?
A little above 100 and he's probably
a little above 100. Connor, you're a couple hundred. Minimum?
Oh, me? Oh, yeah. On first orders, way above that. On repeat, about that.
So exactly, that's kind of what we're looking at. Those are two different ball games. So on average across everyone, 50% of all sessions see a product page. That is an average. Typically, what we're seeing is between 45 and 65%. That's one that isn't necessarily as influenced by AOV. Of all the people that see a PDP, an average of 13% of those go in add to cart. So that is one that you can see as a measure of, are we losing a lot on the PDP? A lot of people are just missing, qualitative informational content on the PDP. They just use Shopify's default and ship it and don't do much after that. So that's a big one where I find. So if you're below that 13, but Roland, yours is going to be I think you'd be crushing it if you're a 10, on your PDP to add to cart rate, that would be obnoxiously amazing. But for
that's
Cody,
that's not blended add to cart rate. That's specifically. So that's not any session that hits the website and the rate that those sessions add to cart. You're actually saying of the people that hit the product page.
Correct.
Got it. Okay.
Yep. So that's how we have the funnels separated out. You can do all sessions and just jump to add to carts like on that. So if you think about it like 50% and call it 15%. So like you're going to look at, that like 7-8% add to cart on average across all brands. Well, like 100 visitors, 7 or 8 add to carts. There's typically a 30% add to cart to purchase rate. And that's a 50% drop and a 50% drop of like beginning checkout and then checkout to purchase. Those are both about 50. So that's what those overall look like. So that's like, Cody, we're going to get that filter for AOV. I promise you'll have them soon. But one area where benchmarks get misleading also, some people push traffic like a ton of, catalog ads and push it to the product page. It might be like 100% of sessions and 95% of sessions hit product page, right? So obviously this all gets taken into context. But Cody, for someone like you, if you were at like 70% of people from all sessions to viewing a product page, I'd actually call that a red flag. I wouldn't say that you're doing well, because that means like maybe too many are getting to the product page before they're educated enough, before they're interested enough. So funnels can kind of run both ways. But like, it's rare I ever say try to get towards the regular benchmarks. This is the like funnels and drop off is like the only place I've ever made that statement.
No, that's a good point. It's going to obviously affect everything downstream if you're like quality of traffic or if they're not ready as I get into it. What about the rest? Do you have benchmarks for add to cart to checkout, checkout to purchase?
About 45% and about 50%. So about 42 is the number that 42% of people that add to cart typically begin checkout. About half of those people that initiate checkout go on to buy. And that's kind of where you get that rough number, 25-30% of people that add to cart will buy. So again, add to cart to initiate checkout, that's about 42-43%. And then of everyone who's in checkout, about half those people go on and buy.
Can I tell you ours?
Please do.
So 54% product viewed. I think you said 50% about.
Yep.
So a little bit above there. I don't know if that's worrisome above, but a little bit above.
No, not at all. That's right in range, up to 60-ish%.
Okay. And we run like a lot of paid landing pages. So I think that would be interesting to look at like different ones because we run a lot of that in like quiz funnels. So it's a little different, but obviously still a lot of homepage traffic. Add to cart 11.9%. So a little bit below. We actually have a new PDP launching in like a week. I think our PDP is pretty weak. So I'm happy to see that we focused correctly. We just did it subjectively.
I actually grilled your PDP in the conversion rate conference.
Our current one?
I have some feedback for you. Yeah, your current one.
Oh, great. All right, cool. Would love to see. But I think our new one is so much better. Checkout 5%. And you said add to cart to checkout, right?
Will be about 42% of those 13. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm looking at the checkout conversion rate. Yeah, we're at 42.7%.
Wow.
There you go.
Wait, see, PDP to add to cart. I think I skipped that, right? PDP to add to cart. What should that be?
You said almost 12.
Yeah, you said 12, and typically 13 is that number.
I'm looking at the wrong thing. Should I be looking at the number that is on like the bar, or should I be looking at the green dot where it says like next to completed?
Green dot down there. It's the difference between a closed and open funnel. Okay. The closed funnel up at the top, it must hit the step before. An open funnel, which is effectively the bottom, is like, doesn't matter what order it is, how many times it hit, how many collections page they viewed. That's what those two metrics are. I'll probably add that to our documentation of closed versus open. That's a really good point.
Got it. Where you're looking better than product to add to cart is 21%. So that's
product one to add to cart. That is great. Okay. You're looking at 13 average.
Okay, fuck. Maybe that PDP was a waste of time.
But you're also not on the higher end of AOV. So should be high.
Yeah, fair. 42% add to cart to checkout, and then 56% checkout to purchase.
That's great on checkout to purchase. 49 is the average.
Okay.
So see, the benchmarks aren't full of crap. Let's go.
For sure, that's awesome. All right, cool. No, when you have some stuff to filter, that'll be interesting. That'll be cool. But would you say, for most brands, like, is that something that's valuable, that if somebody has understanding of the benchmarks, like that is a fair way to understand where to think about testing and optimizing their site?
I rarely say it, but funnels is one of the only places where benchmarks are good.
Awesome. Awesome.
Dylan,
So-
you can just invoice Jones Road for the consultation here, the live
Yeah,
consultation.
splittesting.com is back.
No, I don't know, man.
Consulting
I
wing.
sold that guy. I can't revive that name back.
That's awesome.
But yeah, that's super awesome. Well, I mean, Roland, you're the only one that's not on heat map here. I don't mean to shame, but I don't know, 2 out of 3.
Dude, I know. I want to try it
yeah.
out. I think
If you want the funnels, it's a whopping $29. So
yeah, I think I might. I think I might have to get it onboarded and see what our metrics are looking like.
2 minutes to set up, easy work. But yeah, that's been all really cool.
It's been a year since we migrated to Rich Panel, and I had no idea how impactful the right customer service tool could be. Here's what our customer service team has achieved since making the move. 1, our order volume continues to rise, but our support tickets have not. Our self-service portal helps 47% of website visitors help themselves immediately without having to contact their agents. 2, their AI-powered social media moderator is awesome. We continue to spend a ton on Meta as a part of our marketing mix, and it flags and replies to thousands of comments automatically to help us make the most of our ad spend. Like many of you, I've been cautiously skeptical about certain automation and AI use cases, but our support quality hasn't dipped at all. It's actually gone up. We're at an all-time high of 96% customer satisfaction score. All this, and it's still 50% cheaper than other platforms. No limits on AI usage or tickets, and fair, predictable pricing each month. With market and tariff uncertainty, consumer confidence is in the gutter. You cannot afford bad customer experience or overpaying for older software tools. And migration is super simple. They handle your data import, agent training, and automation setup. You only need 2 or 3 calls and you're live in 14 days. They guarantee a 30% ticket reduction in the first 60 days or your money back, so it's a no-brainer. If you want happier customers and a happier finance team, head over to richpanel.com/demo to book a demo today.
Another one. So I don't know if you guys have more general questions. I don't even know a time check, but I could talk about this forever.
Well, actually, if I could hit one quickly, we were just talking about PDPs. I was curious. I spoke with someone about like underrated on-site behaviors that more brands should track. I talked to someone once and they were like, carousel swipes. It's like, yeah, no brainer. It's like, how far is someone making it through? Dylan, I feel like you might have a perspective here.
I do. I have this written down as the 3 most, can you guys take a guess? The 3 most profitable elements for a user to click. And this is also excluding like add to cart buttons, forget that one. Like obviously we know, but like things that are not directly, adding to cart. What do you think the most profitable buttons are?
I got one. One's got to be search
elements.
Ooh,
Yep,
search
that's
is a
number
great
3.
one. Is the
number 3.
carousel one?
That's number 2.
Boom.
What about
All right.
like a accordion section in the shop section, or like an accordion button?
Like FAQ?
Well, I was thinking more if like you
images,
like you go to Ridge's page.
Oh yeah, like your more details.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I group those in as FAQs, like accordions.
Yep.
That's number 4.
Ooh.
Guys are missing number 1.
So carousel, the FAQ.
So it's not, you're missing number 1, gallery, like PDP galleries looking at images. Number 3 is search. Number 4 is accordions for more information.
I got a out there guess. Shipping and return policy.
So that's actually one of the most important things to buy when you run customer feedback surveys. That's actually one of the most important qualitative things. I actually also shouted out Ridge on amazing copywriting, where I kind of knocked yours, Cody. I talk at conversion rate conference because their shipping was like it was literally on a 6th grade reading level, which is the most amazing. 8th grade's the most you want. The number 1, guys, your navigation.
Oh,
it's the most
Jesus.
profitable click on the site. No matter what page you're on.
I should have nailed that one with signing up for heat maps. My first takeaway was like, man, our entire site is basically the hamburger menu and collections filters were like highly interacted with. It's like, yeah, just people need to get to where they're going.
100%. Yeah, I spoke with Mike. He had that same POV. But one thing that we do have, which is pretty rad, no other heat map platforms have this. They have to rebuild the whole thing. We got interactive mode up at the top. So you can actually like click, open up your navigation, go back to data mode, and your navigation comes up. With like Hotjar, the other ones, you actually have to like take a QR code, hopefully get it on your phone. Half the time it don't work. Like that's why one of the reasons we built it. So you can actually open things up that are not in your resting dome, which is what we call it, like, your resting screenshot. So you're able to do that like right away, especially for Ridge. I would like hammer that. Like that's the other thing. Another thing also, guys, if you like pull open your navigations, I don't think any of the 3 of you guys do this. social proof in your navigation at the bottom, easiest thing ever. Like social proof kind of wins everywhere.
Who's an example that you like?
I like True Classic a lot. They've got a great one.
Yes. So they've got one of the best navs in the game. So they're great. So also Plunge. They're an example I use a lot. So like the what's it called? Cold plunge, right? So plunge.com, they nail it. There's five things that you want inside of a nav. I've noticed the trend of having at least one image in the navigation is a more modern behavior. That was not always the case. Number two, you're going to want social proof in there, whether it's review stars of a specific one like Plunge has, or it's just a testimonial at the bottom. Like just having a testimonial at the bottom, guys, like literally run that. That's something I'm confident you can live test. It's not going to revolutionize your business, but it should give a nice, like, hopefully noticeable bump, especially in heat map. If you're looking at the navigation, you go and add that in. I would imagine revenue per click and revenue per session are going to go up on your navigation. Number three is like a description of some sort of like a product, right? Like, men's wallets, like the most awesome wallets in the game for men. Like that little thing, I'd rather you have more sub-menu items and more description to the top menu items. That's another thing I found that has like a really good one. I think, Cody, you guys do that as well, like just having some level of description. It can literally be 4 or 5 words. But that's something that I found. And then something is also like, which I think a lot, Cody, I think you might actually even be missing this, is just some element of a clickable thing over on the right, which is people just have navigations and they assume you click it. But if you don't have that little plus sign or the little drop down sign or the arrow going to the side, if you don't have that, add that in immediately. You can live test that. You can invoice me if that drops your shit. Like, no problem. That's like another like easy no-brainer I find if people don't have that. So those are kind of like the 5 elements of like a solid navigation that I found.
Dude, amazing and super actionable. So you said number 1 for most profitable interaction on the site, and those are 5 ways to improve it. I think I've got a nice little to-do list here now.
Yeah.
These were. I am surprised about the social proof. I would have thought like that place in the funnel, maybe social proof less important as you get closer to checkout or PDP or things like that it becomes more so.
The thing on social proof is like, yeah, there's a lot of forms of it. Like don't put a video there of like a testimonial video. Just like I find like a text-based, I loved using this thing for whatever USP. Oh, that's another thing, by the way, hugely underpowered. So we all know social proof is important, but when you send a customer feedback survey and find what is most important to you when buying whatever, cater your testimonials that are featured to those value props. Hugely underused thing. So the videos that you're putting on as like, customer videos, they should highlight those USPs that the customers are telling you. The actual text-based testimonials, you can reorder them. It doesn't have to just be most recent. You can feature the ones that are most in that USP, right? And then same with like a text-based testimonial. You can do that located towards the ones that are, based on the customer feedback survey. So that's another way underutilized one. So Connor, you can also just change around, like look at your feedback surveys, not post-purchase because they haven't used the product yet. Has to be the customer feedback survey over email. So once you find those, that's a huge one. Like another big win, you can just do those around. I don't think you need to test that. It's just something that if it's more what the customers want, other people are confirming what they specifically want. No brainer.
Totally.
Damn, we heated up on the tactics at the end.
Dude, this was awesome. I think on the pod we could do a better job of being more tactical. So I think this was awesome. I've got notes. I'm sure all of you guys do. So hopefully people will have some good insights. This was awesome.
Yeah.
One last thing, by the way. In Conversion Rate Conference, when I roasted your PDP, Cody, so what you guys should do, anything that's more than like 2 sentences, just copy and paste it into chat and say, hey, what grade reading level is this?
I used to use Hemingway app. Do you use that? Do people still use that? You
can use Hemingway as well.
Yeah, I guess chat,
I just tell everyone chat because they got it.
Yeah.
Use Hemingway, use chat, and any copy that you're ever going to put on that's more than 1 sentence, so 2 or more, always make sure never more than an 8th grade reading level, especially for products like yours, Cody. You were at like I think like a 10th grade reading level on what you had.
Mhm.
So I put it into chat, played around with it a bit, put it into, I'll send you a screenshot of the side by side, and I put it in and it reads so much easier.
Yeah,
So
we're
like,
actually testing that right now. But I agree. I've always hated it. Was like this super. We had this like copywriter one we launched that was like super like editorial brandy. Like I know which one you're talking about, and it's just like it was working. But I agree with you. We're working with the CRO agency you recommended. One cool thing they do is I don't know how you feel about it. They don't run any A/B tests. Everything is a multivariate. So they're like, if we're going to spin up a test, we're not just going to run 2 variations. Like we're going to run 4 or 5, which I think is like I hadn't heard anybody do that.
They're not a tremendously huge agency, and that's why I send only a couple of people over to them. So they're one of the best in the game. I've seen the results, like they're heat map power users. So like I literally watch, performance go up on some of their clients, like most of them. So highly recommend that. Yeah, multivariate tests crush. They're great. Can't recommend them enough. The only time is if you don't have enough traffic.
Mhm.
So you have the luxury that you can always do multivariate. But yeah.
Great episode, I think.
Yeah, that's awesome, Dylan. We're gonna have to continue this. We're gonna have to you back on, but this was awesome, dude. Thank you so much. Big heat map fan. Learned how to use it better today. We didn't mention it. You guys just added analytics. Maybe we'll have to chat about that another time. But excited to check that out. Thank you for all you're doing for the space, and thank you for coming on and chatting with us.
Appreciate you guys, and thank you for what you guys do for the space too.
Awesome. Thank you, Dylan.
Man, episode 64, Dylan, he's a killer. That was awesome. I think you guys are really going to like that. I have a list of notes, things that we can do. I understand how to optimize, test our site better. So I think that's awesome. Definitely want to get into some of the more tactical things, but I think you guys will enjoy it. So love that one. As always, thank you so much to our sponsors, Motion, Aftercell, Prescient, Revo, Rich Panel. We could not do this without you. That's episode 64. If you enjoyed it, please do us a favor. Like this on pretty much anywhere you get your podcast. Share it with a friend, share it with your team. Love all getting all the positive feedback. Love getting any feedback. Please share it, subscribe on YouTube, and we'll see you next time.